Hey Algebra 1, we started talking about arithmetic sequences today. Arithmetic sequences are basically sequences that have a common difference in them. For example, 1, 5, 9, 13, they're all adding 4. That's what makes it have a common difference or what makes it arithmetic. But if it ever breaks that pattern, like plus 2, plus 2, plus 3, that's not arithmetic. It needs to be more consistent in adding or subtracting that same value over and over. So let's jump into some problems that I assigned. When we talk about a sub 1, that means the first number in the sequence. So that a sub 1 is that negative 11 value. And it looks like that common difference would be negative 8 minus negative 11. Anytime you subtract the second number from the first number, you can determine how you are adding or how you are subtracting in the sequence. So for example, negative 11 plus 3 is negative 8. If you add 3 again, you get negative 5. And that is the sequence that we're dealing with in number 12. So I want to say the common difference is positive 3. And now I'm going to replace A1 and D in my formula. So that would be negative 11 plus 3. And n minus 1 is part of the formula. So I'm now going to simplify using distribution. Negative 11, 3 times n would be 3n. And 3 times negative 1 would be negative 3. So now I want to combine the like terms. I see negative 11 minus 3 in the front and on the back. And so when I put those together, you get negative 14. And so this is your rule. This will pump out your equations, or sorry, it'll pump out your sequence when you use this equation. For example, the first number is negative 11. 3 times 1 minus 14. When you plug in 1, you get out the first number. Or if I was to say, well, let's plug in 2, and I'll get that second number, negative 8. Sorry, it's supposed to be plugging in 2, my fault. So if I plug in 2, I'll get negative 8. Now they want us to find the future value, the 19th term in the future. So I will plug in 3 times 19, and it looks like that 19th term is 43. So a sub 19 equals 43. And that's just in the directions here on the other side. It says, write the rule for the nth term, then find a sub 19. That means you want the 19th term in the sequence. So let's try another one. Let me move my face over here somewhere. The first number is negative 2. And if you were to subtract the second number from the first number, 0 minus negative 2 is really positive 2. And you may have thought, well, you could kind of tell that it was adding 2 in the sequence. 0 plus 2 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, and so forth. So I now want to substitute all of the information in. So I have a sub 1 is negative 2. The common difference is positive 2. That's what we got. So now let's clean it up a little bit and distribute. 2 times n would be 2n. And 2 multiplied negative 1 is negative 2. And now again, I want to combine any like terms that you see. And I see negative 2 minus 2, which is negative 4. So 2n minus 4. This is your rule or your explicit formula for the sequence. So, just like I was showing you a minute ago, let's plug in 19, and that will take me straight to the 19th term in the sequence, which should be 34. A sub 19 equals 2 multiply 19 minus 4. I think that was 34. Yeah. So that saves us from having to add 2, like 19 times till you get to 34. And that's kind of the purpose of what we're doing now. Let's try a few more. A sub 1, my first number is negative 16. And that's common difference. You may think it's adding, but it's really not. Second number, negative 21, minus the first number, negative 16, it's really subtracting 5. Negative 16 minus 5 is negative 21. Negative 21 minus 5 is negative 26. And that is what's going on in this sequence. So now I want to use that formula, the first number plus the common difference distributed to n minus 1. And so I'm going to say negative 16 minus 5 n minus 1. So I kind of have to take this sign into account here because my common difference is negative, so I don't want to put a plus there. And so now I'm going to distribute. This negative 16 is waiting for me to distribute. Negative 5 times n is negative 5n. And negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. So now all I need to do is combine like terms. Negative 16 plus 5, that gives me negative 11. And so my formula for this sequence, is negative 5n minus 11. So now if I want to plug in 19, that's going to take me into the future for the 19th term. So let's find a sub 19 by doing negative 5 multiply 19 minus 11. And we'll just use the calculator to make that as easy on us as possible. And that looks like it comes out to be negative 106. That is the future 19th term in that formula. Okay, so I want you to try 15 on your own. Identify the first term in the sequence, and then identify the common difference in the particular sequence here, and then use your formula to do what I was doing on the other problems. Let's see if you can do one completely independently. So let's do a word problem. It says you visit the Grand Canyon and drop a penny off of the edge of the cliff. The distance of the penny will fall is 16 feet for the first second, 48 feet the next second, 80 feet the third second, and so on. So I may want to extract that. That's 16, 48, 80, and then that just keeps on keeping on. Okay? And so it says, let's write a formula to represent this sequence. So I want to start by identifying the first number, which is 16. And then I also want to represent the common difference by using subtraction. 48 minus 16 is 32. And you should also just make sure that, 80 minus 48, that's also 32. So that's how I know that this is arithmetic. It is consistently adding the same amount every time. It's adding 32. And so now I want to use the formula, the first number plus the common difference multiplied by n minus 1. And so I want to start by saying 16 is the first number. I am adding 32 every single time. And then I have n minus 1 that I need to distribute with. In fact, we can go ahead and say, well, that would be 16 plus 32n. And 32 times negative 1 is negative 32. So I want to combine some like terms here, 16 minus 32. And I can go ahead and tell you that that would be negative 16. So here is our formula that generates the first number, the second number, third number, and so forth. So maybe I'll demonstrate that. 32 multiplied by 1 minus 16. Remember that the first number was 16. And now the second number was 48, so that's good. 32 times 3 minus 16, that third number was 80. So just to demonstrate what we're talking about, replace n with 1, you get the first number. Replace n with 2, you get the second number. And so now they're saying, well, how far will they have traveled after 6 seconds? So we need to replace n with 6. 32 times 6 minus 16. So 32 multiply 6 minus 16. It looks like that no, not right. 32 multiply 6 minus 16. It looks like that sixth number will be 176. So we're trying to build a formula and then use it to predict the future, essentially. I'm going to lead you down this road. I want you to try this one on your own, but I'm going to kind of get us started. It says that the total bank loan for Sarah's new car was $15,265, and they're going to automatically withdraw $295.80 each month so you can pay off the car. So the first value is $15,265. But then I need to basically show that I'm going to have a common difference of this $295.80. So if I was to subtract those values, that means the next value would be $14,969.2. And then I can keep subtracting to figure out each month and so forth how much I owe on the car. So the first value, A sub 1, is this $15,265. And then that common difference, because you are trying to pay the car off, that means I'm taking the money away, in a sense. The value's going down. So I'm going to do negative $295.80. And so I now want to use that formula where I use that first number in the sequence multiplied by, or adding the common difference distributed into n minus 1. So I'm going to start with 15,265. I am subtracting 295.8, and I'm distributing that to n minus 1. Now, this is kind of a complicated formula. You could distribute it and clean it up, or you could just leave it this way. Since I'm trying to show all the steps, I will actually clean this up a little bit. This would be negative 295.80 with an n there. And then a negative times a negative makes positive. And so now if I really want my formula, I want to combine these two values on the edge. So 15,265, and then let's add that 295.80. And so it looks like when you put those together, 15,560. $15,560.8. Okay. All right, so here's my formula. And now, the part that I want you to think about is what will be the balance of the loan after 2 years. Now, my hint to you is that when you're reading up here, this was $295 each month. So we really got to think about 2 years. What is that in months? Because when you figure that out, that's the value you need to be plugging in. We do not need to plug in 2 because we're not calculating 2 months, we're calculating 2 years. Good luck. We're going to focus on this all day tomorrow. We'll see how you do. Good night.